Hey, you cool cats and kittens. Welcome to yet another Geek Show where it is our 71st episode. And I just realized I forgot to acknowledge episode 69. Not nice. I'm your host, Dalton Lee.
I'm your host, Alex Ecker. I hate it.
Does it go better when I do the openings?
Oh, no, it does. I don't think it does, man. I really don't think it does. Oh, anyway.
All right, we had to try. What's going on? It's been a while.
I asked you first.
I feel like it was only maybe 2 episodes ago that I asked you, do you remember how to podcast? And then,
right?
And then things happened again.
Yeah.
And and now it's been a while. So sorry, scheduling issues. We've been posting rather sparsely. Sparsely. Is that a word?
Sparsely.
Okay, whatever. Anyway. Oh, what's been going on?
Well, not a whole bunch. I've been mostly working on our music. I had to. I'm going to go into a bit of a music rant. I had to redo our drums for the 3rd time. Redid our guitar tones probably for the millionth time.
All right. Lesson out there to the other basement musicians. The reason that
I'm upstairs. I'm not in a basement.
The reason
I'm an upstairs musician.
That after however many years we've been doing this, we do not have completed album projects is that whether it's me attempting to do it or Alex attempting to do it, we always get a couple songs deep and then realize there was something we could have been doing better. And then we start the finished songs all over again. So in this case, there were piles of songs pretty close to finalized. And then Alex figured, oh, you know what? Our guitar plugins, I like these ones more. Let's play with these ones now.
Right. Hey, why don't you drop them like a 5-second clip right about now of something?
Sure. Hey, assuming I remembered to do that. Boy, that was awful, wasn't it?
It was terrible. I need to redo our guitars and drums all over again.
Well, while we're on music clips here and discussing music, I do want to take a quick second to promote a friend of ours. You may have heard him mentioned in a Let's Play of ours at one point.
If you haven't watched our Let's Plays, go listen or watch them.
Where I told a little anecdote about when I was attempting to work on music with him a decade or so ago, and it led to him giving me the title of Dr. No because I am a stubborn bastard, and that's why he has his projects and I have mine, and I think they're both legitimately great. Anyway, he's working here under the project name of Lokiah Reborn, and this is a clip of a track called Ascendancy, a movement of what he is calling the Thrawn suite. Yes, inspired by that Thrawn. Here we go.
Boy, I sure do like them trumpets.
We did we didn't actually listen to the clip as we just said it because we don't have this set up to work that way. No, but
I thoroughly enjoy what I've heard of it. It's honestly really good so far.
Yeah, but I'm really excited to see where else that goes. that was just a clip of that song. The full song is on YouTube. So link to that in the description wherever you're hearing this.
Yeah.
All right. Did you have anything else you wanted to say about our music, or is it just that that's all you've done for the last month or so since we've done a weekly?
No, you peon. Want to tell that story, bud?
Oh.
That one gets me every time.
So, I just tried to remember his name. He has the same name as Chris Brown. There we go. Very fortunate. Chris Brown of Trapt. If you haven't been witnessing his Twitter meltdown over the last month or so, I'm proud to say I was there on one of the earliest days of the meltdown, and he called me a peon, and I will forever cherish that memory because the front man of Trapt thinks people value his opinions. And before, look, I get it. There's going to be people that hear this show.
With this episode.
Look, I get that we're nobodies, and that there will be people that hear this and go, well, you're nobodies. Why are you chiming in on people not caring about his opinions? Here's the thing. I don't think you care about our opinions. I'm doing this for me.
Right. Yeah, we're not in this for you. What are you talking about? Although, if you're listening, thanks. Not that I care or anything. But seriously, we should add him with this episode.
I think I should.
Fantastic.
I think I should back off before he takes me on.
He'll take on anyone.
His head's strong. Okay.
He knows that you're wrong.
I don't know more words to play with here, Alex.
This isn't where you belong, okay?
Oh,
I'm done. I can't.
I want to make a video where we roam the streets asking random strangers to name a Trapt song that's not Headstrong.
Oh, well, we can't do that right now with the quarantine. After.
Oh, okay. My favorite piece of gold, though, of his little month-long, it's not little, it's been a month, of his month-long Twitter meltdown is he's lashing back out at every metal or metalcore band that ats him. But of all the people to respond to and brag about how good of a guitar player he is. And here's the thing. I don't consider myself a good guitar player. I consider myself perfectly fine. I consider Alex perfectly fine. I consider both of us better songwriters than Trapt.
Oh, you think I'm a good composer? Thanks, dude. I appreciate that.
But even coming from someone who considers himself perfectly fine, Trapt are not skilled players. The music is up to taste if you like their music. I guess I can't say too much about it. But talking pure technical skill, because he's bragging about it. He's bragging the shit out of his technical skill. There is none. Just know that. If you don't play instruments, people that play instruments will confirm for you that stuff is all the basics. And that's fine. That's fine. You don't need to be complicated. You can make great songs with very simple skills. And maybe you think he does that. But you don't get to brag about your technical skills after and then go after, like, specifically a whole bunch of prog bands. And my favorite is that he responded to Mark Akubo of Veil of Maya, a big inspiration to both Alex and I, and specifically called him out on the ability to play chords. He said something along the lines of, I can play chords that your guitarist's little hands couldn't imagine. Something like that.
Makes sense why he's the front man.
And the thing is that Mark Akubo is not only one of the greatest living guitar players, but he is explicitly known for having massive goddamn hands. Like he was born to play the guitar.
Right.
And his influence on the metal scene is his tendency to incorporate incredibly complicated chord voicings and fingerings into fast metal riffs. So he basically picked out one of the best people at what they do to call out on what they do, to claim that he's better when he's completely mediocre with their completely power chord based music. Anyway, fuck off, Trapt.
Back off. Back off, Trapt. We'll take you on.
The whole band for tolerating it too, not even just Chris Brown.
Yeah. Right.
Anyway.
Man, fuck Chris Brown has a whole new meaning.
Oh my god, guys, this is a video game podcast.
Yeah. Well, it's video games, movies, and stuff, but the well's a little dry right now.
Oh, okay. I've played quite a bit of Animal Crossing, but I think I'll save that one for the next time Jacob's on the show, because he's played an awful lot more of it than me. So moving on, what else have I played? Half-Life.
Half-Life Alyx?
The original. I have bought Alyx.
Okay.
I've decided not to play Alyx until I get through the rest of the series, which is problematic since Doom Eternal came out, and then Animal Crossing came out, and then Final Fantasy VII Remake came out, and then, really tough time to be competing in. Anyway, I tweeted a couple weeks ago, and I said, I'm going to upset some people, and that's not true, because that would require people listening to this show and knowing that I said it. But I said I just finished a classic game, and I didn't like it. With the caveat that I get it, but it's not, for someone who wasn't there and doesn't get the nostalgia of it, it wasn't enjoyable for me. And I guess every time we talk about a classic game, like especially if it's one that we did grow up with, like when I brought up Super Mario World or the old Tony Hawk games, I have to evaluate, like, I had fun with it, but do I think people without nostalgia will still have fun with it? And for at least the first entry, just Half-Life, I gotta say, without the nostalgia, it wasn't fun for me. Alex, have you played any Half-Life?
Yeah, I played. I didn't get very far in it, but I played Half-Life 2, and I was not enjoying what I was playing.
Was this around the time it was new?
It was around the time the Orange Box was new, give or take, like a few years after, maybe. I was like 15 to 17, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
For reference, I'm almost 26 now. So.
Yeah. I will say that I've since started to, and it's worked out a lot better for me. I think that'll be
I feel like I'm missing a lot of context, though, with like when I jumped into Half-Life 2.
Sure. And again, when the Orange Box came out, I played a bit of Half-Life 2 and was missing a lot of context and ended up just playing Portal 20 times through.
Yeah, Portal's good.
But as for the first Half-Life, I get the revelation of it. The big crazy innovation that comes with the first Half-Life is the way the story is told. Maybe the term I'm looking for is environmental storytelling. This is a story where you're not pulling out a booklet to look for details. You're not stopping to watch cutscenes. You don't have people like stopping and giving you dialogue boxes to hit A or X or whatever your platform has you press to get through them. You just walk through the world and the story happens and people talk and you choose to pay attention to it or not. If you choose to pay attention to the dialogue, you get a bit more out of it. They say things to you that kind of inform how you should move forward. Like you can get hints here and there. Like if you listen closely, the guard might talk about, hey, we're doing this and that, so maybe pay attention to that on your way around this corner. Just giving you hints if you choose to pay attention to what they're saying. And so that's the big revelation, is that like it's not level based. And I don't know if there's been other first person shooters like that beforehand, but it is broken up to chapters between like loading screens, but still you walk from point A to point the end of the game. So it's not broken into levels. You're not getting like the Doom thing where between levels you get, oh, you scored this many points and you killed this percent of the enemies and you found this many secrets. You just consume the story from beginning to end without interruption. And I get that that's a big deal and it's important, and it is responsible for a lot of how we design games today. At the same time, it still just felt dated in a way that didn't really work for me, in that the controls don't feel good and the graphics are, I guess the graphics are fine, but the audio is really bad and the story's doing nothing for me. The guns don't feel good. There's moments where I'm getting really frustrated in a map because the level design isn't helping to subconsciously guide me quite as much as I would like. And the like tone and atmosphere is like, today I get what they're going for, but it's not as effective as I'm sure it was back then, just through technological limitations. And so at the end of the day, I guess I can't really say that I don't recommend going back to it. With my own experience, it's like, I don't think I got anything out of playing it, instead of just like maybe watching a summary or a let's play. But like, I know that that's unusual though. I know that like, if you look at the reviews on Steam right now, it seems like most people that go back and experience it again disagree with me. And so I guess I'm not going to throw out there not to go back to it, but I'm just going to throw one voice into a tiny little puddle and say it wasn't for me, at least.
Okay. Yeah. See, like, I can see the appeal. Like, I really can, like, not playing the games. And like, when I hear someone talk about it, and if they speak about it highly and know the right words to say, I'm like, oh yeah, this sounds awesome. Mm-hmm. But like, when I go and try to play it, I don't have the same experience that certain people would. Mm-hmm. That's exactly how I feel about like Fallout, for example. I know you absolutely loved like the first, 30 minutes to an hour of Fallout 3. Mm-hmm. You had me experience it myself. I dug what it was trying to get at, but after that beginning part, I fall off that train real fast.
Yeah, it's an innovation that someone playing today, and we're, if you haven't played 3, I guess the innovation we're referring to is that you spend the first, it's been a while, maybe an hour, maybe 2, you spend it underground in a vault, and then you come out of the vault and you're kind of at the top of a hill and you're overlooking a big world. And in the early days of the 360, that was crazy to me to spend that time in cramped corridors and then be outdoors. And like today, it's nothing. But at the time, I hadn't played a game that was open world in quite that way. And so the ability to have a world that size, even if it was kind of big and empty, it was a big moment for me then, that someone jumping into it today, you might get it, you might understand why it was big for me or others at the time, but you're not going to appreciate it in quite the same way. You're not going to feel what we felt.
Right, exactly. And even then, like, this is going to sound weird because, I thoroughly enjoyed Skyrim. Mm-hmm. It took me 3 tries, and by the 3rd time, I had to force myself. I'm like, look, this game is interesting, and it kind of, hits the right points for me, and I want to continue it. I actually had to force myself to get interested, and once I did, I really dig it. And I'm wondering if I have to do that with this kind of game, but I don't know. I prefer the fantasy setting.
Well, maybe I should throw out there, and maybe this is the case for you too, that with little exception, maybe I should have mentioned this sooner, but I'm just not into first-person shooters in general. There are obviously exceptions because I've been talking my ass off about Doom for our last dozen episodes.
Right, exactly.
So there are exceptions. I love Doom. I love BioShock. Left 4 Dead will always be a top 5 game for both of us, I assume.
Yes.
But most of them do nothing for me, and I rarely buy a first-person shooter.
Okay. Yeah, because like I do enjoy first person games. But quite frankly, I think I may just, it's going to sound weird, but like I think I may have an issue with open world games more.
The time investment's more difficult at this point in our lives.
Yes, because you don't know where to allocate your time in the game to make it either progress or make your character better.
Yeah.
With linear games, like I don't know, it has a stronger narrative usually for me where I can follow the plot a little bit better instead of getting lost and having to do 30 fetch quests and then, oh hey, what was I doing again?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I am often into more linear games personally, if only because there's this thing where people feel like, oh, I'm paying $60 for a game, I better get $100 out of it. And I don't have that. I want to consume all the media I possibly can. I want to get through the game and experience what it's trying to get across and move on to the next thing.
Right.
And that's not to say I won't play a longer game, but I am more likely to choose the 8-hour linear, really precisely crafted story over the big 100-hour epic.
Right. And, you know, as long as, I think that's the other thing with open world games is that there's too much environment a lot of the time. And it's hard to keep interested unless you're playing it consistently throughout a week or a month. I don't know what it was, but like a lot of people, like, yeah, don't get me wrong, I was getting pissed off around this time. I don't know what happened, but like, you know, people started putting the price point on the amount of hours in a game.
They're not considering the value of those hours.
Right. That's exactly the point, because like there was that short time frame, and there's still games that do it now where they'll point out over 40 plus hours or over 100 plus hours of content to go through. The quality matters over the quantity in a lot of aspects. Now 40-hour games that have tons of quality content in them, I'm all for.
Yeah.
But like the games that are like 60 plus hours where it's tons of fetch quests, like, hey, go here, talk to a person, hit A bunch of times, go back to that other spot where you got the quest from and hit A a bunch of times. Like those kinds of things, like I think Skyrim is the exception, because you could be in the middle of a quest and travel to a place and find 30 others along the way and get invested in other storylines. And that's kind of what hooked me with Skyrim. And like I said, you know, I'm sure the same for like Fallout, for example, or other big games of that nature, but it's hard. It has to be the right setting, and it has to be the thing that engages you versus you engaging it sometimes.
It's difficult to make me want to be in a world for tens and tens of hours without experiencing something new. Now, Final Fantasy VII Remake is absolutely working for me in that sense, and I am going to put every hour into that thing. I'm not going to dive any more into it because I will finish it. I was going to say,
I knew we were going to touch on it sooner or later.
I will finish it and give back your PlayStation, and you'll spend however long it takes you to get through it, and then we will spotlight the thing. But suffice to say, it is working for me, and I am quite content with it. Have you watched or played anything you wanted to bring up?
Okay. My wife and I, we recently changed streaming service providers. We used to have Sling, but we found a cheaper one, and they had like on-demand movies. And we discovered a movie called Super. Dalton, do you know anything about this movie?
All I know is that it's a James Gunn movie, and I used to scroll by it on Netflix. It looked like something similar to Kick-Ass.
Yeah, okay.
Which I'm a big fan of.
Me too. For starters, your main hero is Rainn Wilson.
Okay.
The cast is fantastic. It's Rainn Wilson, Liv Tyler, Nathan Fillion.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Ellen Page. There's tons of actors in this movie that like I recognized, but it's weird. It's really weird. It is like Kick-Ass, but it's also a mix of like Tarantino.
Okay,
Like,
so for people that don't know Kick-Ass, what does it mean that it's like Kick-Ass?
it's a superhero world where superheroes don't really exist. It's just real world people. It okay, so Rainn Wilson's character is the Crimson Bolt. His weapon is a pipe wrench, and he goes around and beats people with it. And it's not as okay. So with Kick-Ass, there is some Hollywood magic. Like there's some fight scenes that realistically shouldn't happen.
Sure.
There's some of that here, but usually it's like pretty realistic. So like,
it goes further towards realism than Kick-Ass, which Kick-Ass the concept is already like people in a world resembling ours deciding to go out and be masked vigilantes, but you're right, there's a lot of flash and spectacle and unrealistic acrobatics, and
there is some flash and magic in this movie, but like when he hits somebody with a pipe wrench, they're done. like it's the movie's gross. It has some Pulp Fiction vibes. And then the ending was something I was not expecting.
So Tarantino vibes in the sense of like how the gore and action is done, how the dialogue's done.
How did I describe? Okay, it's when you first watch this movie, it is weird because it feels like a Nickelodeon movie special. Like growing up with like The Good Burger and then seeing The Good Burger movie.
Okay.
Like it's just like a higher up episode with more plot and development, that kind of thing. That's how it feels in the beginning. And then it goes Tarantino everywhere. I mean, of course, the whole thing is entirely adult. But then it ends like American Vandal season 1. I'm like, what just happened?
So is some of it in the pacing and escalation too then?
Yes.
Okay.
It is the weirdest movie, and I kind of want to have you watch it for a spotlight because I don't it's weird, man. It's not Midsummer weird. But it's almost Midsummer weird in certain points.
Was that your way of teasing that we were gonna finally get around to?
I forgot that we didn't spotlight that movie after we went.
What's that director's name? Is that Ari Aster? If I'm pronouncing that right?
Yeah, Hereditary.
Yeah,
right?
We did Hereditary last year, like days before Midsummer, and then we watched Midsummer the day it came out.
We went to the theaters, yeah.
And then we didn't manage to record the episode within the next week or two. And then we're like, man, that movie was crazy. I don't remember half of it now. They've announced some kind of director's cut. We'll just wait. And now it's probably a year later. I guess we'll go back and do that.
Can I share something with you? Like this is all behind the scenes.
No, this is a
like,
podcast. You don't get to share things.
Oh, cool. All right. Then I guess I'll just go fuck myself. Whatever. The way that we got to Midsummer was because my wife thought that it was a Jordan Peele movie.
just because he something. He just like commented on it, and so his name ended up in a headline about it. And we were already
playing
doing
D&D that weekend. We were all hanging out, and you happened to dig deeper and you were like, oh, this director's only got one movie. We should review it. All right, cool.
And Hereditary was a movie I already knew and liked. So I'm like, it's not Jordan Peele, but I do like that director. Let's do it.
Right. And my wife was like, I'm so glad I got this to you guys because like I loved Hereditary and like it's sweet that I got the recommended movie and you guys are doing it. And then we went to the theater and we all got to that one part in that movie. And my wife was so embarrassed. She's like, you guys are never going to take a movie recommendation from me ever again. Like, she's like, I don't think I want to ever recommend another movie for you guys.
She gets that weird, like, secondhand embarrassment when, like,
yeah,
when
it's gonna be great, and it's like
when like a kid watches something with their parent that they didn't expect that scene to show up.
Yeah, or they forget about that certain scene.
But I loved it though. Give me that weird shit. Midsummer's great.
It was a good movie.
Spoiler alert for our eventual episode on it. I love Midsummer.
Yeah, it was a good movie.
We're not here to talk about Midsummer.
I just keep trying to tell her to recommend more movies. She's actually been listening to our podcast this entire week because she's now working from home. Mm-hmm. So it's weird. I'll be up here listening and recording and mixing and stuff for our music. And then I hear your voice in my living room downstairs.
Talking about Mega Man a year ago.
Why are you here? Yeah. It cracks me up.
Oh, speaking of which, I just heard a whole lot more of our older episodes by getting them rendered into videos and put up on YouTube.
Yeah.
I am so sorry about what I've done to some people's subscription boxes.
It's like 5 videos a day, and it was like 6 hours per episode.
It started that way. It was like 4 episodes this day, 5 this day, and then all of a sudden I was like 15 episodes. Next day, 15 episodes. And to make it worse, like the order is completely incoherent because last year we decided randomly when we had Daniel Tidwell on and he made fun of us for not putting the podcast on YouTube. I started putting them on YouTube then.
That was the first episode on YouTube.
Until the hiatus. So we had episodes number so-and-so to so-and-so on there. And then when we came back this year, I just didn't keep doing it for no particular reason. And then I was like, shit, we got to catch up and get him up on there before we have Daniel back on.
Right. And it cracks me up because, like, if you look at our YouTube, like, uploads, like, if you go to, like, the uploads tab, it's like, yet another Geek Show, and it's like 30 of those. And then Limit Break, the stuff that we were so excited to release, and you drowned it.
And then the episode orders make no sense though, because those middle episodes were already there, and then I was uploading our oldest episodes and then our more recent ones. But then YouTube would do this thing where I would upload 3 of them, but it would process them in reverse order, so the order didn't make sense anymore. So you will never make sense of the actual episode order unless you use the playlist.
Oh, moving on from this, because I think we're just going to go in circles. Speaking of YouTube, there is a channel that I have been watching because it has an expiration date.
Okay. What?
Have you ever heard of Unus Annus?
No.
It is Markiplier and Crank Gameplays. So Mark Fishbach and...
I'm sorry, interruption. Kat just snuck into, or was apparently in here the whole time and I didn't know it. Hold on.
I have a cat in here, and she's being quite nice. It's Evie. It's Dalton's cat Evie. For those who are listening, if Dalton keeps this in, the cat's litter box is in his studio, and he forgot to put it out into the doorway for the cats to use it, and they just barged the door open, and it was pretty cute. And now that cat is happily taking a poop. Happily, merrily taking a poop.
So what happened there?
I already filled them in. Don't even bother.
Was that I forgot to remove the cat's litter box from my room so that they don't attack my door. Moving on, this YouTube thing.
Okay, yeah. So Unus Annus is a channel that they started last year, and it is one video every day for 365 days. And every video starts with a timer. And once that timer reaches 0, they're deleting the channel off of YouTube.
Okay. Art.
It's kinda actually, because they're talking about the purpose of the channel is if you're not in it, you're missing an experience in life kind of thing.
Okay.
Like, don't miss out on these experiences.
So they're trying to escalate my FOMO.
The fuck?
You haven't heard that phrase? Never mind, move on.
No, I haven't. Anyways. For a second there, I thought you were going to have to make us very apologetic, and then I realized you said an F and not an H. I was like, what? Anyways,
Yeah.
It's more about when it's gone, you'll have the memories of it. It's a lot to do with like they hype up like mortality and death and stuff, and it's really interesting. And like the first episode they made was cooking breakfast with sex toys. Mm-hmm. And it was probably one of the funniest things I'd ever seen, and I've watched every episode since. And there's like over 100 episodes.
So they don't delete the episodes as they go. It's just that you need to catch up before the end of it.
Before the year ends, yeah.
Okay.
They've done like ridiculous stuff, but like they have it so like they're not monetizing the videos, so that way they can do things that would get them in trouble if it were monetized. Mm-hmm. They're doing stupid shit like walking on glass and eating fire. It's nuts, mm-hmm. and I highly recommend it before it goes away, because like it's kind of like I had this thing kind of with like Markiplier when I first started watching Let's Plays and stuff, where he felt a little too theatrical, mm-hmm. and it almost felt fake.
Sure. And
seeing the other side of, you know, the Markiplier mask, so to speak.
Sure. It's a really difficult thing with a lot of the major Let's Players, in that, mm-hmm. you know, especially, I don't know if this is true for you, but the only Let's Players I watch are Game Grumps. And it's because it's a pair, and with two people, it's easier to have a natural, entertaining energy going without having to fake it until you make it. And I'm not accusing mm-hmm. Markiplier of faking his energy, but there's got to be times, right? Like at the end of the day, him and PewDiePie and Jacksepticeye, at the end of the day, mm-hmm. they're all entertainers. And so, yeah, they have to be exaggerating reactions. And, oh my God, we're having this discussion 5 years too late. But like us doing this here right now, it's like, maybe we've had a few episodes where we reminded each other beforehand, like, hey, we were pretty low energy last week. Let's try to muster up some excitement in ourselves. Mm-hmm. I think eventually we kind of forgot about that, and we just kind of talk at our normal, natural energy, for better or worse. And I don't know, maybe right. people would like this more if we were all like, hey guys, I'm feeling real good today.
I ain't even gonna lie, dude. I thought about telling you or asking you if we could record tomorrow, because I wasn't feeling it.
Oh, but I almost said it to you too. I wasn't feeling it. Yeah.
I just think that this whole thing, the whole quarantine and pandemic, has gotten everyone a little down.
Well, that, and I paused the middle of a Final Fantasy VII Remake boss fight to come in here, so I really wasn't feeling it.
Oh, sorry. I wasn't raised with the fucking silver spoon in my mouth. First world problems involved.
Why were we talking about this? Energy levels in entertainment. Markiplier. Fake it till you make it. Yeah. Jimmy Fallon. All right.
But yeah, seeing the other side of like the Markiplier we know on his channel.
Yeah.
You realize that he's actually more genuine than you think in his actual like own channel. Sure. Like, it's actually really kind of cool. But I do recommend Unus Annus, because, well, for one, if you're listening to this and like, I don't know, like 220 days from now, they're gone.
Yeah.
But they do some pretty damn cool stuff, and it's pretty fun, and it's got the same sort of dynamic that Game Grumps does, where it's two people, and having that conversation moving is pretty funny. Like, yeah, it's very enjoyable to watch and have the interactions going.
I guess I went on more discussion about the real or fake energy levels in that sort of entertainment, because I followed PewDiePie off and on from the beginning. I go through stints where I'm like, oh, okay, I want to watch him for like a month, but it's like I have a weird thing with him where like I like him as a person, but I feel like he just pumps out content whether it's good or not, and there's no quality control, even though I like him. And anyway, he is someone that like when he was blowing up, he was constantly criticized for kind of faking it and putting on a show, which I don't at all blame him for. But I think his energy levels have been way more natural for a number of years now, and I like him way more for it.
Yeah, he seems a little more genuine now, and definitely seems like he's learned from some mistakes.
Yeah. Okay, I had another game to talk about. Another classic.
Go ahead, I'm done.
Another nostalgia bait. I continued the next Tony Hawk game, Tony Hawk's Underground.
Oh, yeah.
And now that I think about it,
wasn't this the first game that you could get off your skateboard?
It was. And
okay,
I just realized
play this game a lot.
I just realized it's unfortunate. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4, I discussed that on the episode that we didn't release because okay, hold up, distraction. Alex, I was watching your webcam and I saw a cat walk behind you, and I thought there was a cat behind me, and it horrified me that I still had something wrong going on with my cats. It's just utterly baffling.
I have my other cat in here. The one that meows all the time is out. He likes to play with wires, and this room is full of nothing but wires.
Oh, okay. That was an amazing mental hurdle for me to get over. But yeah, I discussed 3 and 4 during the episode we had to not release because Jacob was just being a monster, and I couldn't reveal that to the public. And so it feels like my marathon was interrupted, but it wasn't. I persevered. And I got through Tony Hawk's Underground. And dude, the getting off your skateboard stuff is awful. The walking controls.
I'm sure it's bad now.
The walking controls.
Oh, I remember, because they're like slippery, aren't they?
It's like they didn't make a separate movement system for being on and off your board. You moved more in the way you would expect to move if you were on the board, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like when this game came out,
it's coming back to me a little bit now.
When this game came out, 3D Games had mastered the simple act of walking for ages. Yeah. And Tony Hawk's Underground just got it all wrong. That said, I had a mostly enjoyable experience with it. I thought it took a lot of things that 4 was trying to do and simply did them a lot better. For instance, it took Pro Skater 4's route of kind of getting rid of the thing where like you enter a level and it's a 2-minute timer, see how many goals you can accomplish within the 2 minutes. It's more of a wide open level with a larger number of goals, and those individual goals might have timers set to them, but it feels like a bit less of an obstacle course. But in 4, this was really tedious because you had to like hunt down the quest givers. You had to like hunt down the quest givers and then be like, sure, I'll try the skate challenge. And then you have to try to collect the 5 letters. And if you biff the combo, you gotta like restart, reload back to that position. And I don't know. It was just a really tedious.
Wasn't there some sort of like ring hunt or ring chase kind of thing where like you had to like follow a path to get these tokens?
Well,
in Underground 1. Because I played Underground 1 and 2, and I'm trying to remember. It wasn't necessarily like I'm thinking like Superman 64, where you had to like fly through the rings and shit, but it was kind of something like that where you had to get like these tokens or whatever on the map.
There's a number of things like that where it's you know, it might be collect skate within a timer, it might be collect combo within one combo, it might be manual through each of these little traffic cone gates.
That's right.
A lot of that kind of thing. And so here they take the general ideas of 4, but it's made less tedious through like you don't have to hunt down the quest givers. If you were focused on just completing the challenges and getting through this campaign, you just open a list of goals and pick one, and it puts you where you need to be. Try to accomplish this goal. End of story. within this chapter, complete this number of the goals to move on to the next chapter. And it's just a lot quicker, less tedious to get through. You spend more time actually playing the game and trying to accomplish something. Now, 4 also, I wouldn't say it had a story, but it tried to incorporate a lot of like voice acting that was really bad, and it made it so that there had to be some explanation as to why you were trying to do everything you were trying to do. So it was like, collect skate because, I don't know, I dropped the 5 letters, man, help me pick them up.
This was Pro Skater 4?
Yeah, that was 4, and it was...
I played it a little bit, yeah.
And it just felt ridiculous, and it was the worst voice acting I've ever heard in my life. And so Tony Hawk's
Underground's voice acting wasn't too bad, if I remember.
It's a big improvement. It's still bad, but it's not the worst thing I've ever heard like 4 is. And the story, while like it's not masterful storytelling, it's still coherent. It's still about like it's you as an utter amateur making it into the pros and having interactions with the other pros. There's like a bit of plot about you pulling off this ridiculous jump over a helicopter, and then this character like steals the tape, and because it wasn't super clear, he intends to pretend it was him that did it because you can't really tell. And so there's a story about you trying to get it back. And like, yeah, it's not brilliant or anything, but it's pretty coherent. And again, the voice acting and motion capture is like decent for this era. Yeah. And I was entertained throughout. And if the voice acting and story stuff were to be frustrating and stupid, whatever, you can X right through it, and you're not going to spend a whole bunch of time sitting there hearing stuff you don't want to hear. You can just get to the goal and not worry about it. And I got it. Score 150,000 points. Fine, I'll do it.
Right. There is one thing in this game that I don't know if you know about. I forget what map it is because it's been way too fucking long, but you can jump through a window at a certain map, and inside that map is, do you remember the meme of Star Wars Kid?
I do.
He's in the game.
Oh, no, I didn't find that. Is that really old enough? Are you sure that's not Underground 2? Is that really old enough to be in this?
It might be Underground 2, but I feel like it's Underground 1.
Yeah. And
it's in one of those games.
Yeah, and there's a lot of cool, like, destructible environment kind of stuff going on. Get into hidden areas, and there's, like, unlockable characters in all these games that are, like, I think in this one it was Iron Man. Oh, there's, like, a whole, like, secret level about a Kiss concert, and I can't stand Kiss, but I did have some nostalgia about just how ridiculous that was.
It was Underground 2 with Star Wars Kid.
Oh, yeah, there you go. And I have started that one, and I can't wait to get back to it, but Final Fantasy VII Remake, so...
You need to finish that so I can start playing
so you know how that goes. But Tony Hawk's Underground, it's like... When I go back to a classic like this, especially one I grew up with, I try to comment on it, you know, do I think you'll like it if you didn't grow up with it and you come back to it? And remember to cut this because I'm distracted. What the fuck?
Hold your hand further back.
Okay, whatever. I didn't cut this. My webcam won't focus at all.
Yeah. Not that we host the video. We just like to look at each other while talking. We think it's intimate.
That was worth a shot.
That was worth a shot. Just let me just close the lid on my camera.
It's not
anyway
like at any distance.
No, it's not. I don't know why it's not focusing. You might have to look into your, if you still have your manual and shit. Maybe there's something in there.
Anyway.
And there goes Kylo. My cat that likes to meow.
Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh, and so if you're if you're new to the Tony Hawk franchise, I still say you go back to Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. And I think someone going back to it will still enjoy this game and they'll still get it. But like 2 is still the highlight. 3 is still on about the same level as it. I've barely started Underground 2, but Underground 2 was a big improvement over this one. So like this is fine. But it was also the franchise starting to go in a very different direction and not quite nailing it yet.
Okay.
So get to this one if you try the other ones and like them, but this isn't the one to start with. Nonetheless, I had fun with it. I'm still glad I'm going back through these. I'm probably going to go until American Wasteland, which was the last one I played growing up, and probably won't go any further than that, but we'll see how much I hate myself. So.
Fair enough. That's good. So I wanted to save this for last, unless you have anything else you want to talk about.
You're good.
I thought this would be fun. Okay, so before we recorded, I told Dalton, I said, I have an idea. And what I did was I went on the internet and found a best friends questionnaire so that you guys can get to know us a little bit better. I thought this would be a fun experiment for the podcast since we're currently going to be down possibly one person for a little while. And, if you guys want to know if we like to take nice long walks on the beach.
Alex is distracted by me still trying to get this camera to focus.
He's shut off a lamp. He tried like 3 times now.
He tried really hard to play it off, and it didn't quite work.
No, it didn't. Well, hey, like I said, low energy today, guys. Okay, so Dalton, if you're done whining about the camera that was more expensive than mine that doesn't work as good.
Look, I just can't concentrate if the camera doesn't go in focus, so I'm removing mine from my screen, and you can live with this.
Okay, cool. I'll live with it. All right, I picked 5 questions out that I think we both should answer.
All right, let's hear them.
Okay, I'm excluding from this one getting married and meeting our significant other and all that other shit.
Oh, you took out the easy answers.
This is in between you and I.
Okay. Oh, specifically relating to us two.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is your all-time favorite memory? I think I might know it.
I think we'll have the same answer for this. If not know it, it's the one real show we performed for the Next Big Thing tour.
That was what I was going to say too.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I remember our old band After the Ashes. We actually got to play a legit show with a few hundred people. I think if I'm remembering correctly.
I want to say 300.
Yeah. This is our first show ever, both of ours.
First and only real show. Well, no, you did have a couple more.
I've had a couple other shows.
You did have a couple more real ones after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been working on music together since high school. And
this show was in 2011.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
I was 16. I was fucking 16.
And a couple of the songs that we were working with at that time, and one that we even played on stage that day, is still on what we're recording right now.
Yeah. It's great.
Maybe 2 of them. Maybe both of them were. I don't remember our set list for sure.
Wait. Because the funny thing is I forgot the set list during the show.
It was a really good save too. How'd that go?
It was a really good save. We played our first song, which was Political Discipline. And I don't know if we're going to put that on the album.
No, not that one.
Okay. But we've played that song. People actually went crazy during that song. It was awesome. Mm-hmm. And our drummer, who also sang for us, I did our vocal stuff. Mm-hmm. Our second song was Chaos Pulls the Reins.
Let Chaos Pull the Reins.
Let Chaos Pull the Reins. Yeah.
We're equally edgy today, for the record.
Exactly. And he was like hyping us up on the mic. He's like, why don't you tell him what the next song is, Alex? And I blanked. I'm like, oh no. But I didn't show the panic on my face. I was like, why don't you tell him, Jay? And I'm so glad he remembered.
Oh. Maybe he was asking because he legitimately didn't know.
Well,
we played 5 songs. We really should have
5
remembered.
songs. Yeah. That was a good time. But my favorite moment of that whole entire day was we got into your Trailblazer at the time, wasn't it? Or was it your mom's?
I think my mom had one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was in my Camaro. Had my Camaro.
That's right. You had the Camaro. But yeah, we took your mom's car.
Yeah.
Because we had to pack our gear in it.
Yeah.
And you and I both had the seats, the front and back seats, completely laid out. Our other guitarist was laying in the back seat, and we were just sitting there going, dude, that happened. And I remember telling you at that time, I said, this is something I want to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And now we're still kind of doing it. So that's cool.
And I mean, we kind of slowed down and don't think so much about the like touring and playing for people aspect. And it's, the unfortunate reality is that like it's kind of impossible to like, I don't want to tell anyone not to chase your dreams, but there is a little bit of like, do you realize what you really have to give up in terms of like stability and free time?
It's a lot of work
to become a real touring band.
Merchandise is really where your money is in that sort of scenario. Like merchandise and album sales. The shows, you will get profits from what I've been told. A lot of the time, it's usually your merchandise that is what's going to keep you going.
But even getting to the point where people want your merchandise, like your odds are so
that's
low.
What makes it even harder. Yeah.
Your odds are so ridiculously low. And so we don't really bet on success there. But like the thing about the music we're working on now, though, we're still doing that. We're still writing and recording, and we're starting to really put music out there. Is that like it doesn't need to be successful? It's something more we do for us with free time that we already have. Making a proper performing band work is free time that like we could have if we completely gave up on video games and podcasting and spending time with our wives and anything else.
Yeah. And not to mention the area that we live in isn't it's prerogative to be more of the lifestyle than it is the music. Because I went on to be in other bands after that one. That was your last band, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And every single band has either been, you have people who are kind of talented and have all the time, or the people that are super talented and have no time. And then you get the people in our area that are dealing with personal demons like drugs and other vices, and trying to get those people to be working incoherent altogether. Like the last band I was in, those situations were happening. There were some drug struggles with other members. I was driving 6 hours each time I had to practice because I had to go to another state to go pick up a band member and bring him back. And I was going to college full time, working part time, trying to spend time with my fiance, now wife.
Yeah. And, and this is ultimately why we stopped with that band that we played that show with, unfortunately, very shortly after, because I went to college. And even before that, it was like the band room was my mom's basement. And I was working in high school, so I had money to like buy a PA system and amps and microphones and stuff, and to like, feed the band coming over, or I guess more accurately, my mom generously fed people coming over and allowed us to make a bunch of noise, and it was great. But like the amount of effort and money and life stability was not equal throughout the band. Sometimes it was just a matter of, oh, this person's losing interest in doing it. Other times it was like, well, this person's going to school, he has less time now. But then there's also,
I was a minor at the time, so like we had to work around high school schedule.
Yeah, and then then there's like this person who like, I don't drive and I live 50 minutes away,
an hour and a half away.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so no, I totally know what you mean.
It's just impossible to get the right combination of people that have not just enough free time, but the same free time that you have.
Absolutely.
So I'm a lot more into, I know we don't get the payoff of, the applause on a stage, but I'm a lot more into this kind of working at our own pace and contributing
when it's
on
just
our own
literally us two recording, mixing, editing, mastering, everything. It's a lot harder versus having four people doing, hey, here's the drum take, and hey, here's the other guitar take, here's this, here's that, and then one guy doing it all. I think we should probably leave it with still follow your dreams about it if that's what you want to do. But for us, we changed it. Not because we don't want to, it's because we wanted to have more than one thing in our lives going on at once.
Yeah, we're working on many creative endeavors at the same time and hoping that people end up liking one of them.
That was kind of it too. We just tossed a bunch of shit at the wall and seeing which part of it would stick.
All right, next question.
Next question. What is your favorite thing you own and why? I knew this one was going to be tough for you.
Oh man. In some cases, it's hard to think about like what constitutes one thing. Well, at the end of the day, like all of my hobbies are gone if I don't have this computer I'm sitting next to is a thing. At the same time, it's kind of something I need to have, and it's something that most people have. Maybe not like, sure, maybe most people don't have a desktop tower and multiple screens at a desk, but most people do own computers. And so it's like, I can't call it my favorite thing just because it's something I need. I love that I have a VR headset, but frankly, I don't use it much because I'm lazy and I'm catching up on years of great traditional games that I've missed out on while VR still develops a meaningful library. I could narrow down a particular instrument and say for sure that it's my LHM1 that you've seen in videos and pictures at this point. I guess I'm just thinking over the definition of favorite in my mind.
Right. I knew this is why I picked this, because I knew you were going to be like,
that you were going to make me get philosophical about what a really simple word means.
Well, I wasn't expecting you to whine about it. I was just expecting you to get stuck on the question.
Sure.
Damn.
Well, and like, if I say that this computer I'm sitting next to is my favorite thing because it's the thing in my house besides my wife that I spend the most time with, it's like this particular computer isn't something I love, though. I just love that I have one. I could trade it out for any similarly spec'd or better tower. So it's not the idea of this computer itself that I love. I guess with this guitar, it is the guitar itself that I love, if that makes sense. It's not just that I have one, it is that I have this particular one.
Okay, that's fair.
Also, the Switch is pretty cool.
You only get one, and you've already made your argument.
Can I pick a cat?
No, too late.
It's my LHM1 Ibanez.
Fair. For me, I've thought about this a little bit, and I kind of think that it's probably the house that I just bought.
Oh man. Okay. The thing that holds all the things. All right.
Well, it's different because it has more of a symbolic thing for me. I remember talking to you. There was a little bit of panic with needing a place, and that's all I'll say about it.
Sure.
But you told me, man, you have 1 month to find a new place to move. You are not buying a house.
Sure.
And in 1 month's time, that's exactly what I did. Was I bought a fucking house.
So it's kind of the symbol of accomplishing something ridiculous.
Yeah, it's kind of
somehow having no money.
Yeah,
losing the place you're in, deciding that you're somehow going to end up with a house instead of a rental in a month or two, and then in some way that I still don't understand pulling that off.
It's something that like I've always kind of prided myself on, is being able to figure things out in like the hardest of situations, and not getting into too many personal things at once. But I've had to deal with quite a lot in my life, and never really like I've had hands to help me, but not through everything, because not every situation requires a hand to hold through, and this was sort of a team effort. Like, I had to have the initiative, and I had some friends and family help me through the way. And it's one of those things that's kind of made me realize, like, if you want it bad enough, you will get it. So that's my answer.
Yeah. Does that
third question?
Does that technically contradict our don't throw your life away on the attempt at being a performing band?
Because you were willing to compromise.
Okay.
And that's what we ended up ultimately wanting. So I guess that's better.
Okay.
Third question.
I think we'll cut this off after the third one. We were going to keep going, but this is making pretty lengthy content. We'll keep using it for future episodes. So pick a good one.
What's the worst you've ever been physically hurt?
Okay, I've got an answer for that one.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I do. Well, and here's the silly thing is that, okay, first of all, I'll throw out there, this isn't the answer, but I've made it most of my life never breaking a bone, except one time I did break my pinky toe, and it's the worst bone breaking story ever. One time I told a coworker, I was like, maybe we were talking about scars, broken bones, whatever, and I was like, man, I made it my whole life without breaking a bone until like 2 years ago. I broke my goddamn pinky toe on a bookshelf, and he said to me, man, don't ever tell nobody that shit again.
So here you are telling the entire world.
Oh.
Or like 4 people.
Man, but I think we all have like dumb bicycle wrecks, or like maybe you're as dumb as me and you've decided to skateboard on a trampoline without taking the trucks off.
Well, between jumping off of roofs, jumping out of moving cars, shooting at each other with fireworks.
Speaking of falling off of roofs, make sure to watch the video we just did with Wolf Chaos on, link in description.
Nice tie-in.
It was like a 4-foot drop. It wasn't. I was not hurt in the making of that video.
I don't know when it happened, but probably the worst I've ever been physically hurt is still now, because I broke my neck at some point in my life. I don't know when. I had some back issues. I still have back issues, but I went to a chiropractor and they took x-rays of my back and my neck, and there's a chunk of bone missing out of one of my vertebrae in my neck.
Yeah.
And it's still like, it sounds like, oh, if you're still dealing with it, wouldn't you be used to it? Yes and no. Because I'm wondering if it was the one time I jumped off of my roof and it was like a 10, 11 foot drop and I didn't roll.
Yeah.
I landed static and my whole body collapsed down and my head came down the hardest. Like I headbutted my shoes.
Yeah.
Like, it was that hard. It hurt. And I couldn't move my head for like a week. It just hurt like hell. But it still gives me fits because if it goes out of alignment in that spot, I get migraines from the back of my head up. Sometimes it'll, when those headaches get so bad, my vision gets a little weird.
Yeah.
And it almost puts me out entirely. And I'm like, I just have to go to bed. I'm going to die if I don't.
Yeah. So for me, though, I mention the existence of dumb things like, bad bicycle accidents and whatnot to say that it's nothing like that. It's just generally like you, I have back problems, and it comes and goes. I might go months without feeling anything worth complaining about, but it's like once or twice a year I will really truly hurt it and just be functionally immobilized for a couple days. And in this particular instance, all it was like I was putting away Christmas decorations, I think. And I wasn't carrying a heavy stack of things. I was just trying to balance a stack of things in a weird way. And in the process of trying to put them down and then moving the wrong way to keep it balanced, I simply pulled my back out, and I ended up, I went to the doctor after that happened, and I remember they said, like, what's your pain level like right now? And I said, like an 8. And they said, okay, what was your pain level like yesterday when this became a problem? And I said, the worst pain I've ever felt in my goddamn life. Because they're like, oh, okay. Because it had me in a state where, like, I tried to go sit at a family dinner at my mother-in-law's, and I realized I could not get in a comfortable position at the kitchen table. And I'm like, sorry, guys, I really can't eat. I need to go sit in the living room on some like proper furniture. And I sat on a couch and I still couldn't do it. And I sat on a chair and I still couldn't do it. And I went and I laid on a bed and I still couldn't do it. And I could not find a position that just didn't have me on the verge of tears. And I ended up like in the fetal position, but like on my knees with my back up. And that was the closest thing I could find. And, in that position where I literally was like, don't try to massage anything. Don't move me a centimeter in any direction. I'm staying right where I'm at.
Yeah.
MagFest of that year was like 2 days later.
Nice. And the other thing that's funny too, I'm sorry.
Well, I'm like, I'm going, and, the drive there was awful. And the first night there, it was like, we're squeezing 6 people into a 2-bedroom hotel room. So it's like, all right, guys, I'll have a night on the floor, but it cannot be tonight. Actually, it has to be on the last night. I need as many days as possible before I can deal with that. And I spent that entire weekend just drunk the entire time, which is the opposite of this most recent MagFest where I never managed to get drunk. But that time, the year before, I spent every waking minute of that weekend drunk and full of ibuprofen. And I didn't know until after that weekend that ibuprofen could cause mouth ulcers. But now I do, because that's how much I needed. And I made it through that weekend. But man, going from completely immobilized in a bed to participating in a rave at 2 a.m. a couple nights later.
It was either all or nothing.
Yeah,
right?
it was brutal.
That kills me.
So yeah, definitely that. Just that whole week is my answer.
You just reminded me. I should have said this earlier. Before I did music and stuff, I was a wrestler and a boxer. And before that injury had happened, I was getting into mixed martial arts. And I had to stop all that. Because could you imagine just taking a wrong punch and worsening that at the time when it happened.
For sure.
Like, I'm sure it's fine now. Like, but like at the time, like I was lifting like crazy instead of doing the fighting stuff. And I don't know, maybe it was when that injury came to my attention, like not knowing it was there versus knowing what it is now. Like, I'm also kind of like, I don't know if I want to go back to lifting because like if I hurt it, you know what I mean?
Right. Right. Well, and it sucks that like trying to get yourself back into shape and whatnot can cause you to hurt yourself and undo all your progress. I've been there. Like, my back pain, I don't think it stems from a particular incident. I think it's just general being out of shape. And I'm like, I'm overweight, but not enough that people notice it. It's more that like I'm just out of shape. I don't gain weight. I just don't build muscle either. And I hurt my own body from not being strong enough. And then, you know, I'll get in the mood and all of a sudden like, hey, I've been going to the gym almost every day for a month. Woo, look at me. And then I can hurt myself at the gym and screw up that habit I've been forming and be back at zero.
I could teach you how to lift, dude.
Yeah, but I will say it's been over a year now since I've actually hurt myself. I do have days of like, oh, I need ibuprofen to sit in this chair at work all day, but it has been over a year now since a proper injury.
For me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. After I'd seen a chiropractor and, you know, did what I could as best as I could for my body.
So ending on the most negative note possible.
No, we're better now.
Ending on the most negative note possible, you guys. Remember to check out the description for a link to Ascendancy by our friend in Lokiah Reborn for our own music as Limit Break and for our collaboration with Wolf Chaos on YouTube.
And something else I'd like to point out, if you feel so inclined, continue this conversation. The questions I asked Alton, you know, answer them in whatever comment, and we'll see what we can do to, you know, see him and keep a conversation going. In fact, you can answer them in our Discord server if you want to try and get as direct to us as possible, which is in our description as well under our link tree.
We would like to see Discord be active, but let's be honest, you're the most likely to get a response on Twitter, for the record.
Or, you know, go to our Instagram and comment on our last photo. Or
and then check our MySpace.
And then check our Facebook.
People still use MySpace. Do you want to make an episode out of just checking out MySpace and what that's like now?
Oh, God.
Let's make it a Let's Play. Let's play MySpace.
Also, when you're done all doing that, change my diaper.
All right. Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Take it easy. Be safe and healthy.
Wash your hands.